You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
Okay, why do people hate Air Bud?
I think they just don't understand how good of a boy he is.
Maybe. I don't know. I thought that our demographic would be Air Bud fanatics, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe I don't know our listeners at all. I don't know. Everyone's obsessed with Lassie for some reason.
I know, but I want to know who the fuck is voting for Lassie. Because
a lot of people. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, we did a poll about favorite, or, we should have said most, or your favorite dog actor, because we said who's the most popular.
Right. Well, that's because what we were talking about in the last episode. We were kind of wondering who the most famous, on-screen dog actor of all time is. And some people, or dogs, I should say, in the mix were Asta, which is my topic from last week, who is apparently one of the famous on-screen dogs, although Grace and I have never heard of him.
He's from, when movies first started happening.
Right. He was, in the 30s and 40s. And then another dog we included in the poll was Lassie, Toto, and then Air Bud for fun, just to spice it up a little bit. We ran the poll for 2 days, and it really spoke to some of our followers on Twitter. It spoke to their interest in cinema, I would say, and that it spoke to their age, I also think.
Yeah, that could be. Well, anyways, we are the Good Evening Girls. I'm Grace.
And I'm Chelsea.
This is Two Girls, One Crossword, your favorite Podword crosscast about dog actors and other stuff.
We only speak about dog actors and sometimes other stuff. To anybody who was wondering, Lassie didn't win the poll. Lassie came in second. Toto won the poll.
Right. But I feel like there's a lot of talk about Lassie in the comments.
There was. We got a lot of comments.
Told someone, I said, call me when Lassie makes a 3-pointer. And then no one even responded to me. Even though I'm not sure if Air Bud ever made a 3-pointer. His whole thing was the free throw shot line. Fun fact, actually really sad fact, the actor who played Air Bud, well, one, he's dead, obviously, but the dog actor who played Air Bud, he guest starred in an episode of Full House, because, in Full House they have a golden retriever as well. There's an episode with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, another guest star, and they play basketball, and they're like, oh, I bet you Comet could play basketball, and then it's obviously not the regular Comet actor, it's the Air Bud actor, and he comes in and he does this little basketball trick. So whoever owned him definitely got their money's worth. So teach your dogs tricks, people.
Oh my God, I loved those Air Bud movies, just gonna say it. I loved it. And if you don't listen to us often, we've also spoken about a friend of ours, a dear friend, who loves Air Bud so much that they will rewatch Air Bud frequently.
And all the offshoots.
Because
there's 20 Air Bud movies. There's the original, but then they have puppies, and it's
and Air Bud plays all the sports. Okay, we
Don't
got
they
volleyball,
play hockey, ice hockey.
We got everything.
That's even possible. I haven't seen that one. Anyways, you have to suspend disbelief a little bit.
You have to. But hey, welcome to the podcast. We're here. We're queer. We're ready to do it. Are you ready to do it?
Get into our heights and shites?
Yes. My number one height of the week was that poll. So do you want to take us
go off that
from the top? Yeah.
Sure. I liked the USA Today crossword called Seesaws by Patrick Jordan on October 19th. I think you would have liked this too. 30 down, half of fan fiction's dreary.
Draco?
Yes.
Oh, I love Draco. Also,
don't know,
Harry and Draco should have ended up together, but that was just J.K. Rowling not being queer. So.
Yes, Dreary is their ship name, and there's plenty of fan fiction about them.
Plenty-o. You could find...
Probably the most, of Harry Potter, that's probably the most shipped.
I would say. And if you don't know what shipped means, welcome to the 21st century, first of all. Second of all, it's short for relationship, and it's your favorite romantic relationship.
It's turned into a verb, so you ship people together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do. And if you ship Harry with Ginny, you live under a rock.
All right, no, we already did 10 minutes on the top of dog actors. We're not going to go down a Harry Potter rabbit hole.
Fine, she says. Okay, I will go into another hit. The Vox crossword changed editors. Constructors, I should say. It changed constructors. For those of you who don't know, Vox started a crossword, was it earlier this year or late last year? I don't remember. And the constructor was one Adrian Powell, who caused a lot of drama in the crossword.
Uproar for
their admittedly poor constructing abilities. I mean, just some really weird cluing, really weird like answers, and some problematic stuff too. And
he would do stuff about like school shootings and like it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was really strange. And there's like a whole movement on Twitter basically constantly calling for his resignation. A lot of constructors would be writing to Vox to kind of be like, hey, like, there are people who do this for a living and they do it well, and you should be paying them, not this person. Good news, Adrian Powell is out, and we've got new constructors in, which is exciting. Their names, if you do crosswords, you already know them. But if you don't, I'm going to give them a shout out. We got Patrick Blindauer, Adesina Okoiki, I think that's how you pronounce the name. Please correct me. Juliana Tringali Golden, Will Nediger, and Andrew J. Reese. Congratulations to you. I did the first 3, and they're already amazing, so much better than...
Is there an iPad app for
I don't know if there's an app, but if you're trying to get into crosswords, I'd recommend you could start with the Vox crossword. First of all, they're free. Second of all, they're smaller than the New York Times. A normal crossword or average crossword that you see in the New York Times would be a 15 by 15 grid. In Vox, it's 10 by 10, so it's, significantly smaller. They're easy, fun, quick.
You save so much time with those extra 5.
You have no idea.
Those 5 squares on either side really hold you back.
They really do. Keep you in a box. And I just want to throw a shout out. Evan Bernholz, I think, really spearheaded the effort of replacing Adrian Powell, if only for his amazing reviewing of the Vox crossword on his personal Twitter. And I'm still holding out for Evan's coffee table book of crossword shit posting. So if you know Evan personally, please tell him that I would buy one of those books. Thank you.
Okay, but I really feel like maybe Evan was secretly Adrian Powell. Because the other thing about Adrian Powell that I feel like no one cares about but me is that it's like a mystery on who this person is.
Right. Well, I did find out that Adrian Powell is crossword constructing for the Winnipeg Free Press. Still active.
Dude, this
still
guy's getting
crossword
booked
constructing.
and busy. I don't know. I have to give him... You know what? Sometimes you can't go in and follow everyone's rules. I don't think you should do the problematic stuff, but sometimes you got to do things your own way.
It's true.
That's how you make something new. Maybe he's making a new type of crossword.
Yeah, who knows? And if anybody knows Adrian personally, can we get an exclusive interview?
Yes, please. Do you happen to have the list? Okay, here we go. Sorry, I have some. I did the New York Times this week. Now that I have it on my iPad app, thank you. And but it doesn't have the constructor on here. That's the problem.
Which one?
You can't screenshot that well. The Thursday.
Let's see. Thursday. That's Sid Sivakumar. It was incredible. Okay. The Thursday New York Times, October 22nd.
Yes, that one was really fun. One of my favorite was 30 across telephone when all lit up ? And it was drunk dial.
Yes.
If you don't know, being lit means you're drunk.
It's great.
That one was fun. And then I just there were a bunch of empty clues in that. That was kind of the theme. So what's uttered by a mime, and it was 3 squares, and it was just blank. And then what polar opposites have in common, blank.
Right.
What's theorized to have preceded the Big Bang, blank.
The solving experience for this puzzle was interesting because Matt and I hit those clues and we were like, nothing. They wouldn't say anything. Like, what could this possibly be? And then so finally we got to the revealer, which was 61 across, keeps going despite fatigue, or a hint to 3 features of this puzzle. And the answer was runs on empty. And there's like a whole theme around that. But yes, that's why those 3 answers were entirely empty. And it made me feel less dumb.
Yeah, I was very confused on the way down because I was like, I know this one is on purpose, but it's 1 square too long, and then turned out that one of them was blank. So,
right.
Yes, I did enjoy that New York Times one.
Yes. I really liked, what else was it? 8 down, not so great depression. And the answer was dent, just fun wordplay. Or downhearted softies ? And the answer was duvets. I love me a good duvet. And also,
that one stumped me. I was like, what is this?
It stumped us too. I think we filled that in with the crosses.
That was my last.
Yeah. That was a good one. What else was good? Did you do the... You didn't do it probably. The Sunday, October 18th New York Times?
No. Come on.
She doesn't do the Sundays.
I do the Saturday WAPO, and that is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt doesn't he doesn't hate doing the Sundays by any stretch, but it's one of
too
those things
long.
where you
I have a life,
open it up and it's
people,
really, it's really daunting. And if you're not doing it with somebody else, then it's like, what's the point? I'm just going to sit here and spend the next 4 hours of my
I do
life
like
doing this puzzle.
three crosswords a day during the week. That's enough for me, personally.
Well, I liked the theme from the Sunday New York Times. Basically, it would clue asking for a book title, but you would change one of the words in the book title to a homophone of the original word. For example, 23 across, Jan Martel's baking memoir. Jan Martel wrote Life of Pi. So instead of it being P-I pie, P-I-E, so baking memoir.
Oh, okay. I can get behind that.
That's fun. I really liked this one. 112 across, William Shakespeare, historical romance. And it's Julius sees her instead of Julius Caesar. Oh my God.
Cute.
Can someone please write
that? That's a fanfic.
I am here for that fanfic. Once you write it, please DM it to me. That was just a great, fun puzzle.
I have a it's a light shit. I want to get your opinion on it.
Okay.
This is from the USA Today, October 23rd, by Kate Hawkins. 29 across, curly fries alternative. The answer, onion rings. I'm just here to say, if you're promising me curly fries, and then you show up with onion rings, that is not an acceptable alternative to me. And the only alternative to curly fries is a potato some other way. Traditional,
I agree. Yes.
Steak cut, tater tot, I'll take, any potato.
I totally agree with you.
But onion rings? No.
No. That's a straight up lie. If you were like, yeah, we've got this really awesome dish, it's just like curly fries, and I showed up and it was a fucking onion ring. And like Google like curly fry substitute, if you have a curly fry in a recipe. And if someone suggests you put onion rings in instead of curly fries.
I'm trying to think of what recipe has like curly fries as an ingredient other than like making curly fried nachos. I don't know.
Right. But if you're making curly fried nachos, you wouldn't sub out curly fries with
but you could with tater tots.
You could.
Fun fact, I used to think Funyuns was fun onions, and I thought cranberries was crazy. No. Craisins. I thought it was crazy raisins. I'm an idiot.
Wait, what is Funyuns?
Fried onions.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it's probably a play on both.
Right.
I'm sure.
Sure.
But it's more like the craisins. I really thought that was crazy raisins. I thought that was like the brand name. I don't eat raisins, if you're wondering.
She loves crazy raisins, though.
No, I don't.
She loves them. Let's talk about I just want to say one clue I really liked from the Tuesday USA Today, October 20th, Gail Gabrowski puzzle. 4 down, snack chip with a flavor called Cool American in some countries. And the answer is Dorito. So
I feel like we've mentioned that before.
I think we have, yeah.
Podcast.
Yeah, I think you specifically when you were talking about maybe studying abroad.
I love Cool Ranch.
I know
Chelsea and I, we used to eat, back when we worked in the same vicinity, we used to have Doritos a lot, and I would always get Cool Ranch, and she would get regular, and then I would get Coke, and she would get Pepsi, because we were
this cute
insane.
Little thing.
Yeah,
cute
and
little
it's
thing
like
we did.
Opposite colors.
Yeah.
I don't live that life anymore.
No. I haven't seen Grace in 7 years.
Yeah.
Did you do the Wednesday New Yorker, October 21st, by chance?
I don't know. I don't think
She's
so.
like, I do so many goddamn crosswords, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
That New Yorker was by Eric Agard, who we like a lot. Couple things. 1, 27 across. Equipment that the viral skating star Ko Hyo-ju dances on, and the answer is longboard. I'm bringing this up because when Grace and I first got TikTok, I was being fed longboard videos of people dancing on their longboards. And I sent the videos to Grace and I said, we need to do this. And she fucking shot it down as if we can't be incredible longboard dancers. I mean, we might suck at it, but it would be fun, at least.
No.
She's like, I'm
too old now. I can't have like a broken wrist at this point in my life.
Well, that's the one thing that's stopping me right now. But
Unless
just
you
know,
want to come over and wash my hair for me.
in my heart of hearts, I really want to dance and skate with a longboard. I can't do it, but I really want to do it. I also really liked from that puzzle, 35 across, throat singer. It's spelled singer, ? But the answer was fire eater, so it's throat singer. It was just a nice little puzzle. Yeah.
Nice.
What, you got anything else?
No, that's it for me.
That's it. Does that mean we get into the
Flip
coin
the
flip?
coin, bitch! watch.
Oh my God. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. I'm flipping the coin now. Heads.
That's you, baby.
That's me. My topic comes from the Monday New Yorker, October 19th, by Elizabeth Gorski, 16 across. Japanese art of finding beauty in imperfection.
What is it?
Wabi-sabi.
Oh, wait. I've heard about this before. Probably on TikTok.
You might have heard about this on TikTok, folks. It's a great place to learn new things. Try it out. So yeah, wabi-sabi is a Japanese artistic movement, aesthetic, and like worldview, way of life, I guess you could say. And like the clue suggests, it's about the acceptance of imperfection, but it's also about the acceptance of impermanence. So things not being like staying around forever, right? I'm going to lead us off with a quote by Richard R. Powell in a book called Wabi-sabi Simple: Create Beauty, Value Imperfection, and Live Deeply. The quote says, quote, "Wabi-sabi nurtures all that is authentic by acknowledging three simple realities. Nothing lasts, nothing is finished, and nothing is perfect."
Dude, I feel like I'm in therapy right now.
Welcome to Therapy Hour with Chelsea.
This is what I need.
Actually, it's therapy 15 minutes. That's all you got with me today. Okay. Yeah, and just to kind of kick us off, like this topic is so deep and so far. I can only really just, say, hey, let's
You're
talk
not an
about
expert?
it. No, unfortunately, I'm not an expert. And it's thought that you can't be an expert unless you're Japanese because it's built into the fabric of their culture. Just like I don't think foreigners would understand the concept of like go west, young man, in like that like American frontier vibe that we have. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Or like Costco.
Right. You just wouldn't get it.
You
gotta
be born into
here.
it.
Okay. There's this American writer. Well, he's American, whatever. His name is Leonard Cohen. He was an artist and a writer. I guess he's still alive, actually. He helped... I was using past tense, but he's still alive, according to Wikipedia. If that's not true, just let me know. Anyway,
You don't know how soon those things get updated.
You don't. It's been crazy. It's been a crazy year, folks. You never know.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
I'm sorry.
He's still alive, yeah.
He's still alive, okay? God, I didn't want it to go there, and it went there. Yeah, so Leonard Cohen, yeah, he's alive, American artist, writer, the whole deal.
Healthy.
He's healthy. He's great. He's got a good head of hair. He's wearing glasses. Yeah, he helped popularize the concept of wabi-sabi in the West. He lived in Japan for a while, and from 83 to 86, he wrote a column on cultural anthropology for a Japanese magazine, and then he went on to publish a book called Wabi-sabi for Artists, Designers, Poets, and Philosophers. And so this next bit, like what I'm going to talk to you about, comes from Cohen specifically, but if there's any Japanese listeners out there that can correct me or want to correct me, please do. So you can't really translate the words wabi or sabi into English. Wabi originally referred to the loneliness of living in nature, remote from society, and sabi meant chill, lean, or withered. And these meanings began changing around the 14th century. Wabi came to mean rustic simplicity, and sabi referred to beauty that comes with age, when the life of an object and its impermanence are evidence in its wear. And today, the definition can be oversimplified to wisdom in natural simplicity or flawed beauty. And so, as a concept, wabi-sabi is derived from Buddhist teachings, specifically the teachings of the three marks of existence. So I'm going to talk to you about those three marks of existence. The first mark is called anicca, and it stands for impermanence, which is basically that it means that we're in a constant state of flux at all times, and Buddhism states that all physical and mental events come into being and then dissolve. So we see this in the aging process and in the cycle of birth and death. Nothing lasts and everything decays. So then we have the second mark called anatta, which means non-self. It's this idea that there is no unchanging permanent self or soul within a living being. Things change, nothing stays the same. And then the third mark is called dukkha, and it stands for unsatisfactoriness or suffering. And it's the physical and mental suffering that follows each cycle, such as rebirth, aging, illness, and dying. Dissatisfaction from getting something that you want to avoid or not getting what you desire. Okay, so wabi-sabi comes from these ideas.
All right, I'm on board.
She's still following, folks. Are you still following? So characteristics of wabi-sabi. It's really impossible to distill it to 15-minute segment, but we're going to try it, right? In contemporary times, especially in the West, like the pursuit of happiness in relation to achievements, whether it be academic or in your career, relationships, the, consumption of material goods, those kinds of things. These lead to stress, anxiety, depression.
Yes, more money, more problems.
Yes, bad judgment sometimes. It's crazy. Capitalism is driving us crazy. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so wabi-sabi invites us to pause and to breathe. And it asks us to focus on the small blessings hiding in our daily lives and to celebrate how things...
That is what I need to do.
Yes, you must celebrate how things are, okay? Not how they should be. Some general principles or concepts at the center of wabi-sabi are asymmetry, roughness, simplicity, economy, austerity, modesty, grace, intimacy, and the appreciation of natural objects and the forces of nature. There was a really beautiful article that I found on the BBC. It was written by a woman named Lily Crosley Baxter, and it discusses her first run-in with the concept of wabi-sabi. And I want to start with the beginning quote from that article. Just to give you some context, she's in Japan and she's making a piece of pottery. So here's the quote. Quote, "Withdrawing my hands reluctantly from the slowly spinning bowl, I watched its uneven sides slowly come to a stop, wishing I could straighten them out just a little more. I was in the ancient pottery town of Hagi in rural Yamaguchi, Japan, and while I trusted the potter who convinced me to let it be, I can't say I understood his motives. Smiling, he announced, 'It has wabi-sabi,' and whisked away the bowl for firing." So she's creating this piece of pottery and she wants it to be perfect and it's not. And the pottery master comes over and he's like, "It's perfect. Let's finish it." And she's like,
It's not his character.
Shit. It's got character. Right. Okay. So this woman from the BBC, Crosley Baxter, she goes on to talk to a professor. The professor's name is Tanehishi Otabe, and they're a professor at the Tokyo University Institute of Aesthetics. Professor Otabe says that, quote, "Wabi-sabi leaves something unfinished or incomplete for the play of imagination." Another quote from the article. "Wabi-sabi achieves three things: an awareness of the natural forces involved in the creation of the piece, an acceptance of the power of nature, and an abandonment of dualism, the belief that we are separate from our surroundings," which I really thought was beautiful. The fact that, you can live a life and think that you are not a part of the world that you're living in, but you're you're an organism.
That's a very Buddhist principle. I forget what it's called. Detachment or something.
It's possible. All of this stuff comes from the Zen Buddhism was referenced a lot in my research, which I don't know much about, but that's kind of what all of this is tied to. So rather than seeing dense or uneven shapes as mistakes, they're viewed as a creation of nature, like moss growing on a wall or vines growing up, I don't know, a building or a tree that curves with the wind. Mm-hmm. Wabi-sabi is in direct contrast to modernism, which is this idea of mass-produced perfection, right? So wabi-sabi is more about authentic expression, natural materials, rough edges, imperfect glazing, and sometimes deliberate flaws. One more quote. This one is from Wabi-sabi, The Art of Imperfection by Robin Griggs Lawrence in the Utna Reader. Quote, "Wabi-sabi reminds us that we are all transient beings on this planet, that our bodies, as well as the material world around us, are in the process of returning to dust. Nature's cycles of growth, decay, and erosion are embodied in frayed edges, rust, liver spots. Through wabi-sabi, we learn to embrace both the glory and the melancholy found in these marks of passing time." So, no crying this episode on the podcast, but I think it's just really beautiful. So where can we see this concept of wabi-sabi in Japanese culture? Literally everywhere. Japanese gardens, architecture, art, pottery, music, food, how you move through your life, how you interact with someone on the street, for instance. But I'm going to talk about some specific examples of, whatever. And a side note, I'm just going to pause here again. I could do an entire topic on each of these things I'm about to talk about, but I'm really distilling them down into
the basics.
The very, very basics. So if you're interested in these, Google them. That'd be cool. You could learn a lot. Do you know what ikebana is?
I do not.
Ikebana is the Japanese art of flower arrangement.
Oh.
Yes. And it is one of the 3 classical Japanese arts of refinement. We're going to be talking about 2 of those today. Ikebana is the first one. And a rough translation of that word is giving life to flowers. And you basically use these carefully selected blooms, greenery, other flora to create a specific feeling or emotion, just like you would with a painting or a sculpture. Minimalism is huge in ikebana. Deliberateness, so choosing each bloom or each piece of greenery with, precision and deliberateness. And then all of these things are a reflection of the process of creating and the process of being in the moment and existing with your creation, which is incredibly beautiful. I don't know how many florists in America are really zenning out to their flower
I don't think the
arrangements.
people at 1-800-Flowers are doing that. But maybe not. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't
Maybe
know.
they teach ikebana at 1-800-Flowers. So yeah, it's more than just tossing flowers into a container. You're trying to kind of bring nature and humanity together, which we talked about a little bit earlier, this idea that we sometimes live outside of the world that we're in. It's about connecting yourself back to, the earth, nature. Modernism suggests that we can control or, tame nature or be outside of it entirely. But this process of flower arranging is about collaborating and living.
Collaborating with nature.
Yes, I love that. So ikebana emphasizes all parts of the plant as well, which is important. It's not just the flowers or the blooms, it's the stems, the leaves. And if a petal falls off into the water, leave it there because there is beauty in imperfection. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. What else we got? So now we have the Japanese tea ceremony, which is the second Japanese art of refinement. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It is the ceremony of tea, presenting and preparing tea. Dude, this topic is so freaking cool. I wish I could just tell you all about the Japanese tea ceremony, but I had to distill it down. It's really fun. We're going to start in the 16th century, okay? There is a significant shift in the 16th century from this lavish lifestyle that Japanese people used to live into this more minimal, refined, removed, wabi-sabi vibe. Okay. And that also happened with the tea ceremony, okay? It used to be real lavish. You had a lot of gold, lots of floral, lots of just big, bright colors. But there was a tea master, Sen no Rikyu, and he kind of shifted the tea ceremony into what it is known as today. So, like I said, it was more about lavish and luxury, but the tea masters changed these ideals to kind of focusing instead on finding the beauty of simplicity, which is wabi-sabi, and Sen no Rikyu established a tea ceremony that reflected the simple and quiet taste, which is, like I said, performed to this day in Japan. He designed a simple building to hold the ceremony based off a Japanese farmer's rustic hut. And then these houses would typically hold 5 people, have a separate room where tea utensils were washed, a separate room where tea was prepared, and then there's 2 entrances, one for the guest and one for the host. And the guest entrance was actually the door was a little lower, so you had to bend down to go inside because you need to humble yourself before you can receive this gift of tea, which I think is kind of cool. So this tea master formalized the rules of the ceremony with the 4 basic principles of Buddhism: harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. And there's rituals for literally every single aspect of the tea ceremony, like how you enter the building, how you sit down, how you receive your tea.
Gosh, I don't know if I could ever do that.
It's intense, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
the room itself where you have your tea is very simple and austere. Again, like part of wabi-sabi is like very minimal. You want to appreciate the here and now. And without like having distractions in the room, you can really appreciate the moment and you can really appreciate the tea. And then the teaware itself reflects wabi-sabi as well, not boasting any bright colors. They're all very like earthen colors, like browns and greens. And the teaware isn't perfectly sculpted. It's very asymmetrical, rugged, rough to the touch, sometimes chipped and then repaired. And then the potter sometimes will actually deliberately create chips or roughness so that it has that wabi-sabi like vibe. And then this is a really nice quote that I pulled from a website. I can't remember which website it is, but I have all of my sources if anybody wants to fact check me here. Without the extra distractions, we can enjoy tea in the purest way, just us and the tea. Surrounded by simplicity in every form, we are allowed to experience the tea freely, while having nothing but the minimal we can let ourselves appreciate to the fullest.
That's kind of like Marie Kondo's life-changing magic of tidying up. You know, you get rid of things that you don't really use or need, and then you can appreciate what you actually have.
Exactly. The part where I talked about ikebana, the floral arrangements, I pulled a lot of that actually from her website. She has like a lot of really nice articles on her website actually about like, you know, these different theories. And that's all. It's all wabi-sabi. Like I said, even if she's not, you know, distinctly marketing herself as like, I'm teaching people how to live the wabi-sabi life, it's part of Japanese culture. So it's like, even if she's not specifically teaching that, it's in who she is as a person. Yeah. And I'm not trying to generalize here. I'm just, you know, speaking, you know, like I say, Americans. I'm just speaking generally, yeah. I don't mean that every Japanese person is like living wabi-sabi to the fullest. Just like not every American is living.
Is wearing a cowboy hat.
Is wearing a cowboy hat.
But
we are. Come over to YouTube if you want to see our cowboy hats. What else do I got here? So yeah, that's the tea ceremony. Kind of fun. And then the last thing that I'm going to end on is called...
That's a weird name.
I know. I actually had to really practice how to pronounce it. So, now the last thing is called kintsugi. Have you heard of this? You might have heard of this without knowing what it is.
Maybe.
Okay. So kintsugi is the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by fixing broken areas with lacquer mixed with gold, silver, or platinum powder.
I feel like I have heard about this. I don't know. Was this a TikTok or was this on the Queer Eye season where they go to Tokyo? There's something in my, like, mind palace of watching someone fill in cracks with gold or something or silver.
I feel like I've seen this so many times across the internet, and I had no idea what it was or, like, where it came from. And it comes from Japan, which I think is really cool. And it's basically like, instead of seeing a break in pottery and saying like, okay, let's throw it away, that's seen as part of the history of the object, and you want to preserve the history of the object by repairing it. And by repairing it with this gold leaf or platinum or whatever it is that you're using, you're creating an object that's even more beautiful than the original object in a way, you know?
Yeah.
But it's still broken.
It's like people, oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah, you can see all this gold leafing around me where I've stitched myself back together.
Metaphorically, Chelsea.
Oh my God, wow. So yeah, it's about, you know, repairing these objects. And it's related to Japanese tea ceremonies, actually, because a lot of the vessels used in the Japanese tea ceremonies will break or, you know, have a lot of wear with time, and then they repair them with this process of, you know, fixing the cracks with the gold leaf, which is kind of cool. And it's all wabi-sabi, baby. Kintsugi is about embracing flaws and imperfection. You want to show the wear of an object in wabi-sabi. It's appreciating the passing of time and what this object has gone through, and finding beauty in that. And, you know, you're highlighting these cracks and these repairs. It's part of the life cycle of the object. Kintsugi is also related to this idea of no mind in Japanese philosophy, which is like the philosophy of non-attachment or the acceptance of change. And I'm going to end us on this incredibly beautiful quote from who is this from? Christy Bartlett in a piece called The Aesthetics of Mended Japanese Ceramics. So buckle in for your last little taste of wabi-sabi. Quote, "Not only is there no attempt to hide the damage, but the repair is literally illuminated, a kind of physical expression of the spirit of Mushin. Mushin is often literally translated as no mind." That's the philosophy that I was telling you about. Mushin is often literally translated as no mind, but carries connotations of fully existing within the moment, of non-attachment, of equanimity amid changing condition. The vicissitudes of existence over time, to which all humans are susceptible, could not be clearer than in the breaks, the knocks, and the shattering to which ceramic ware, too, is subject. This poignancy of aesthetic of existence has been known in Japan as mana no aware, a compassionate sensitivity, or perhaps identification with, things outside of oneself.
Beautiful.
Beauty
like
and imperfection, which means I am beautiful because I am made up of imperfections. Okay, so if you try and tell me that I'm not beautiful,
your imperfections. Actually,
I'm still working on it.
Well, not that I have embraced all my imperfections, but I used to be like super self-conscious about my hyperhidrosis, which is, if you don't know, it's a condition where you sweat a lot. I used to have it like under my arms when I was going through puberty, but now I only have it like in my hands really bad, and my feet are like okay, but I used to be so self-conscious about it. I would not touch anyone's hand for anything. But then eventually I like started telling people that I have them, like, oh yeah, by the way, my hands are going to be like really sweaty. And it kind of like went down a little bit once I accepted that, okay, this is just how it's going to be. And trust me, I went on all different types of medication. I even thought about doing like a surgery where they cut in your nerve and all this stuff. But yeah, once I started accepting it, it kind of had less power over my life.
And
I still
became
have
beautiful.
It, but yeah, I know my
so
hands
beautiful.
are beautiful now.
They're so
they
gorgeous.
probably will stay, pretty, or they never get really that dry. My hands in the winter, so
That's
I have
great.
that at least.
I mean,
yeah.
Some people are cracking away and they're bleeding all over themselves in the winter. So you've got it made.
Exactly. The inside of my hands will never age, people.
Never.
These look like 12-year-old hands, if you could see them.
Don't say that. We have a YouTube, and I don't want people coming over to see 12-year-old hands.
If 12-year-olds had gigantic hands, because I also have really big hands.
I've never thought that about you, but
come
next
over
time I
and
see
compare
you,
your hand size to mine.
I'm coming
and
right
I will prove
now.
it to you.
Right now. I'm on my way. What if I actually walked through the door right now?
Well, I can see you, but it would be
But I'm
funny
just
if-
saying,
if
what
you
if
came
I
over
did
here and
that?
then we filmed the rest of my part, both from my apartment.
I would love that. Maybe another time.
Yeah, it's a whole Uber ride away. I don't know.
I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, I like you, but
You have nothing to fear except fear itself.
great.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
Who's that?
a president, but he did have something to fear, and that brings me to my topic this week.
Polio.
No. Yes, but that's not my topic. It does come up though.
Okay, cool.
So my topic actually comes from two crosswords this week. It showed up twice, which is a sign. One of them being the Wednesday, October 21st, New York Times by Dory Mintz. 5 across. What many people have for public speaking.
I forget what the answer was. What is it, like a loathe or hate?
Phobia.
Phobia. Oh shit, here we go.
Yes. And then in the USA Today, October 19th puzzle by Patrick Jordan, 13 across. Phobias. And the answer was fears. So I'm going to talk about...
it really was a sign, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to talk about phobias, some famous people's phobias, and some phobias that you may never have heard of.
Great,
Okay.
let's do it.
So let's go back to Franklin Roosevelt, who told us that we had nothing to fear. Well, Franklin had some stuff to fear. One of his biggest phobias was dying in a fire. Okay.
Oh my God, I can vibe with that.
Yeah, but everyone is obviously no one wants to die in a fire. It's good to have a healthy fear of fire, but this, a phobia means that it kind of disrupts your life. Mm-hmm. So according to one biographer, as a young boy, Roosevelt had witnessed his Aunt Laura catch on fire following an accident with a household alcohol burning lamp, as happened at the time. The president's Secret Service agents revealed that Roosevelt refused to lock his doors at night. Even though locked doors would help protect against potential assassins, Roosevelt was scared that a locked door would prevent him from getting out if there was a fire.
I also feel that. I don't have a phobia of fire, but when I was a kid, they used to indoctrinate us with like all of these like crazy shit that could happen to you, like kidnapping or, being in a fire. And they put that sticker on your window so that firefighters knew that you were a kid in that room. Every night before bed, I would put all of my stuffed animals underneath the window so that I could take them with me if I had to go out in case of a fire.
So you and Roosevelt had this in common. That does sound like kind of an irrational fear. Okay, but the fear didn't end there. He would often carry out one-man fire drills. Even when he was confined to a wheelchair, when his polio worsened, he would routinely drop to the floor and practice crawling to an open door or window.
Oh, that poor man. My fear did not get that far.
Yeah. Okay. So he was an adult. It's different too. A lot of kids have phobias that they then grow out of. Mm-hmm. So what is a phobia? It's a strong, sometimes uncontrollable fear of harmless or only slightly threatening things. These fears can sometimes disrupt or even control our lives. Most of the times, phobias are defined as fear of blank, using a Greek or Latin word and ending with the suffix phobia. For example, fear of flying is aviophobia.
Okay, makes sense.
The term phobia is somewhat new, but humans have had phobias since the beginning of time, obviously. Mm-hmm. The first written reference to phobic problems is the works of the ancient Greek physician Hippocrates. Mm. He lived in 400 BCE, and he wrote about various ailments that all his patients had. In one of his works, called the Seventh Book of Epidemics, he described a condition in a man named Nicanor. Whenever Nicanor went out drinking, he would become terrified of the flute and or flute music. Hippocrates said, quote, "When the piper began to play, the music immediately threw him into such a great fright that he was not able to bear the disorder of it." Weirdly, this only happened at night. He was fine with flute music during the day.
Sounds to me like he was being triggered, honestly, like he lives through some traumatic event. Yes. I'm not trying to like psychoanalyze him, but...
Well, they do say a lot of phobias probably do have some sort of origin, something that happened in your childhood.
Like FDR and his aunt.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but Hippocrates didn't use the word phobic. That would happen 500 years later when a Roman doctor, Celsus, used the word hydrophobia, aka fear of water, to describe someone who seemed to have a horror of water due to rabies. If you didn't know, people with rabies, they have ravenous thirst, but they are scared of water. If you watched season 4 of The Office, you'll remember that during the Dunder Mifflin Pro-Am Fun Run race for the cure for rabies, Michael Scott refused to drink any water in solidarities with rabies sufferers. And then he threw up because he ate too much fettuccine alfredo and he was running.
Oh my God, I love that shit.
Yeah. Okay. So where did Celsus get the word phobia?
Where?
From the Greek gods, of course.
Oh my God.
Phobos was the son of Ares and Aphrodite, and he is the personification of fear and panic. Also, a great name for a guard dog, in my opinion.
Yes.
Phobos. Anyway, story has it that he was so scary, warriors would paint his picture on their shields to scare off their enemies. So, having a phobic reaction resembles someone being terrified. Which, doing after all this research, I'm like, can we stop using the word homophobic? They're not scared of gay people. They're just bigots.
Yeah, they're bigots.
Yeah. So according to the Oxford English Dictionary, the first relatively modern use of the word phobia wasn't until 1786, when an unknown writer in the Columbian magazine defined the word as meaning, quote, a fear of imaginary evil or an undue fear of a real one. By the late 1800s, medical scientists were starting to create scientific categories of psychological problems, and they started to notice that some phobias were rooted in similar issues, like being scared to leave the house and fear of public speaking. In 1895, Sigmund Freud noticed that while some things creep out most people, at least a little bit, like snakes, getting sick, death, other things bother a few people, really bother them, like leaving the house. He wrote about a boy named Hans who had a great fear of horses. He believes it was because Hans had a traumatic experience with a horse as a child, and according to the article that I read, Freud also believed that the fear was actually unconsciously a fear of the boy's father related to his loving feelings about his mother, as Freud always thinks. But anyways, that was like one of the first psychologists to,
sure,
kind of track back why this boy or man is so
right
scared of horses.
If anything, he's consistent.
Yes. In 1947, phobias became their own diagnostic category in the International Classification of Diseases, and they were classified by the American Psychiatric Association in 1951. So that's not that long ago.
Not at all.
And phobias, they basically divided them into 3 categories: agoraphobia, social phobia, and specific phobias. Okay, so according to the DSM-5, these are the 3 phobias. Agoraphobia is a generalized fear of leaving home or a small familiar safe area and of possible panic attacks that might follow. It may also be caused by various specific phobias such as fear of open spaces, social embarrassment, fear of contamination, fear of germs, possibly complicated by OCD, or PTSD related to a trauma that occurred outside of your home.
Sure.
The next one, 2. Social phobia, also known as social anxiety disorder, is when a situation is feared as the person is worried about others judging them. 1. Sorry, I'm all out of order here. I don't know why I can't count. It's because I'm counting down. Okay. 3. Specific phobias. Fear of particular objects or social situations that immediately result in anxiety and can sometimes lead to panic attacks. Specific phobia may be further subdivided into 4 categories: animal type, natural environment type, situational type, and blood injection injury type.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about like PTSD and that's that's too serious. But
yeah.
I do want to give a quick little personal anecdote here for social phobia, aka social anxiety disorder, although I do like social phobia better. But I have social anxiety, and if you remember last episode, we talked about how I was on the Moth, and to do that you have to like speak in front of a group of people on a microphone, and maybe this will like inspire someone or give anyone some hope, but I used to be so scared of public speaking. I was a youth leader in my church, and we had to do a lot of stuff in front of people or talking to mic. I would never get on a mic ever. I had like a specific fear of microphones. I had a fear of social situations. I didn't like being in elevators if I knew I was going to have to make a conversation with people. I wouldn't go to anything I was invited to if I didn't know like everyone there. So I really had issues, but over time, I've been able to overcome them through therapy, with an actual therapist, through exposure therapy. I started small. Before I did the storytelling, I did a sketch writing class. I did a stand-up workshop. I kind of worked my way up to it. And now here I am. So, if you're out there and you feel like you have social phobia that's stopping you from doing things that you really want to do, know that there is hope out there. If I can do it, then you can too.
She was a lost cause, but she has turned her life around.
I have overcome it, okay? No, but really, I do think exposure therapy is one of the best things you can do for that type of thing. Okay, I'm going to talk about other famous people other than myself who have different phobias that you may not know of. And these all come from historycollection.com, an article called "These His Famous Historical Figures Suffered from Unique Phobias" by D.G. Hewitt.
All right, D.G. Hewitt.
This seems legit. Okay, all the references were biographies done about these people. So
nice.
If you have a problem, then ask Hewitt about it.
Got it.
So Hans Christian Andersen. We've talked about him many times because we talked about mermaids and
other shit that he's done. Yeah.
So he's a Danish writer best known for Little Mermaid, and he was known to have a number of fears. One of his worst ones was the fear of being buried alive.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which at the time was not that irrational. He was alive during the Victorian era, and that was the age of taphophobia, aka fear of the grave. The press often printed stories of people waking up in coffins, all that stuff. So the practice of having a bell installed above the grave with a piece of string going into a coffin so that the person inside could ring for help if they happened to find themselves awake and buried was revived. Formerly that was used during the plague, but they brought it back for the Victorian era. That's how scared people were of being buried alive.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were also pronouncing people dead before they were actually dead. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. So according to some of his biographers, Andersen would leave a note at night before he went to sleep that said, "I only appear to be dead," by his bed.
That is intense. That's intense.
I love that though.
Because when I think about being buried alive, which I do occasionally think about that. I mean, we've had those weird horror movies that came out where people were buried alive.
Yeah, but that's on purpose. Someone's trying to bury knock you out and bury you alive. I'm not that scared of
I mean, I'm afraid of that too. I'm still
modern
being buried
medicine,
alive.
I feel they would know that you're not dead.
True. No, I'm afraid of being kidnapped, held hostage, and then put into a coffin and buried alive.
That's fair. Okay, but Hans had other fears too. He would deliberately avoid dogs because he was scared of them.
Okay.
He never ate pork as he was paranoid about being poisoned.
Okay.
And it's also claimed that he would travel with a large piece of rope in his luggage because he was afraid of a fire and feared he might need to escape from a burning hotel room.
Damn, this man needed some anxiety medicine, obviously.
Yes, he had issues, but maybe that's why he was so creative. Obviously, his mind was very imaginative because he imagined all these different ways he could dive. Yeah. All right, next I'm going to talk about Alfred Hitchcock, iconic horror filmmaker who's been scaring audiences for decades. But he had his own fears. Do you know what this is? Have you heard this before? It's kind of
Yes,
weird.
I've heard it. I don't remember.
So he has a fear of eggs, especially chicken eggs. He said, quote, "I'm frightened of eggs, that white round thing without any holes. Have you ever seen anything more revolting than an egg yolk breathing and spilling its yellow liquid?"
When you say it like that.
I agree. Eggs are kind of gross when you think about it. I mean, it's like a chicken's period.
It is, but it's much cleaner than ours.
Unfertilized egg. Yeah. But yeah, although I don't think he has a lot of egg motifs in his movies, so.
No. It could be worse, folks.
He was also scared of heights, and he has the movie Vertigo.
Right.
So he did, insert some stuff in.
Right.
All right, next we're going to talk about Salvador Dali.
Okay.
The artist.
Who had an iconic partnership with Hitchcock in... there's an incredible Salvador Dali dream sequence in one of the Hitchcock movies.
North by Northwest?
No. It's a doctor movie. It's a psychoanalyst movie. God, someone out there who knows it. It's not me.
Okay, well, he had his own fear. Grasshoppers.
I can't blame him.
Yeah, grasshoppers freak me out too. Their legs, because in Florida they're huge, and sometimes like their legs get detached from their bodies, and then they get stuck in your socks. That happened to me one time, and it scarred me.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm never going to Florida again.
Just the legs itself. I was like, what's this? And in Florida, the cockroaches are big. They're nothing compared. Like the cockroaches here are child's play.
No,
in Florida,
I know
they're
that.
like a foot long.
I've seen the ones in like Louisiana. When you're below sea level, man, those things thrive. They are thriving, honey. And I'm like
always
not
thriving.
here for it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, back to Dali and his fear of grasshoppers. As a child growing up in Catalonia, he was bullied by boys his own age, and they would often throw grasshoppers at him.
That's
Some
sad.
contemporaries of his claimed that even as an adult, the sound of insects was enough to make him tremble. But Dali didn't let his fear get him down. He used his crippling anxiety over grasshoppers to fuel his groundbreaking work. Above all, he used insects as central motifs in a lot of his paintings. According to scholars, Dali used grasshoppers to signify decay and destruction. He would often paint the insects larger than life, exaggerating their legs and mouths. In some paintings, he even depicted grasshoppers devouring the main subjects of the work.
Damn.
So he, used it productively.
He did. It stuck with him. It made its mark.
So now I'm going to talk about some other phobias that maybe are a little more rare that you don't know of. This one isn't that rare, but I wanted to talk about it because it's the first thing that came to mind when I thought about phobias, and that's trypophobia. Do you know what that is? It's about like small clusters of round holes or bumps.
Oh, yes, I know this, but I don't
like
have this one.
Lotus seed pods. So there's a whole subreddit. It's trypophobia, and it's pictures of these things. And I used to not get it, and then all of a sudden I got it. It like gives me chills up my spine. I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's weird to look at, but that is not officially like a mental disorder.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like an official phobia. It may be diagnosed as a specific phobia if excessive fear and distress occur. Okay. More often than not, it's just like disgust or aversion.
Sure.
Which is what I'm not like, it doesn't keep me up at night, but I don't like to look at it. Okay. So do you know what this is? Arachibutyrophobia.
Spiders giving birth?
No. It is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. Okay. This one's actually kind of common, and some people will not even be around peanut butter because it freaks them out so much.
Wow. Okay. It does get sticky up there sometimes, but
It
also
happens.
How are you eating that much peanut butter?
I don't know. I mean, it's like people are scared of choking, I guess, is what the...
Oh, I guess. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I could
fine,
see that.
fine,
If
fine,
you have
fine.
one bad incident like that as a child, I get
No
it.
phobia shaming on this podcast.
No. Arithmophobia. That one's
Fear of math.
No. Fear of numbers.
Vampires have this.
Yes. Which is ironic considering the Count in Sesame Street.
Yes.
So there are 2 numbers that people have specific fear of more than other numbers. Do you know what they are? One of them is kind of obvious.
Number 6.
No. It's an unlucky number.
7.
No. 13.
Oh shit, sorry. I have a fear of numbers, so I would never say that. No, I did not know that. But I said 6 because it's like the devil's number. I thought that was...
some people are, in the Western world, some people are scared of 666. But the other number that is like second highest on the list that people are scared of is the number 8. It has its own name. It's like ochophobia or something like that. Octophobia.
Okay. That's interesting.
They can't explain like a completely rational reason why, but something with the way it loops, how it resembles an infinity sign. It's adding 2 and 6 together. People are scared of 26. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of explanations, but if you're scared of the number 8, you are not alone.
Yeah.
All right, xanthophobia, starting with an X.
Xylophones. That's the only word that starts with an X that I know.
No. But this could be used, on like alphabet lists for kids. X is always X-ray or xylophone.
Right.
Xanthophobia, fear of the color yellow.
Okay. All right. They would hate all the Chicago apartments because all the walls are painted yellow.
I feel like I have an aversion to the color yellow. I wouldn't say it's a phobia, but yellow is probably one of my least favorite colors.
It's Matt's favorite color.
I would like never wear yellow. I like orange.
Do you like mustard?
I like mustard, yes. Okay, I'll say that.
I think mustard is like one of the most beautiful colors.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking like school bus or like...
It's just the bright
neon.
yellow I don't like.
No, I'm sorry.
Even neon is okay. I like orange and green, which is close to yellow, but there's just something about yellow. Also, I just feel like I don't look good in yellow, so I don't like to be around it.
Yellow is a hard color.
Yeah,
for
it's
people
a hard
that are colored like us.
Yeah, if you're pale, it's not a good choice. Okay, this one, hippopotamonstrosis quipedaliophobia.
The fear of a hippo running you over?
No, this one is, I feel like this has come up in trivia before. It's a fear of long words. First of all,
oh, right.
Rude.
So,
that's when, and I was like, is this a real phobia? Some people are like, no, people just made that up. And other people are like, no, that is legit phobia. It's in the dictionary. It's one of the longest words in the dictionary. And that is what it means. I don't know what is true rude and what isn't, but yeah, why? Like, that's, I just don't understand. It seems kind of cruel, like the people who have that phobia. Yeah. Anyways, and then the last one is pogonophobia. Pogonophobia.
I'm really bad with my...
This relates to a topic you did once upon a time.
Oh, the fear of slinkies.
No, fear of beards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot that I did that topic. Isn't that crazy that I've started forgetting what I've talked about?
I just went through our list of our Excel sheet. I updated it with some of our newer topics because now we keep like a little list so that we don't, accidentally go over and, because I thought I did this before, but I haven't. But yeah.
It's an interesting refresher to think.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I really liked that one. I was like, what are my favorites that I've done? I don't know. I really like the moon landing and I like the black cat.
Moon landing was awesome. You did such a good job.
The Chinese zodiac. Those are like all the last recent ones we've done.
I really liked my sneakerhead one.
That was a good one.
I'm trying to think. I really liked one of the first ones I did about
You're gonna need to give me more than that.
The word one, Grace. The word
code switching?
Code switching, thank you.
That was a good one. That was number 2.
Oh my God, you're right. I loved your chick Hearn one. That was your first ever
one. Oh my God.
Garbage time was an incredible first topic for you. You guys should check it out. It's really good. And also you can hear some of our insanity at the very, very beginning. We've kind of come into our own, I think. But
yeah, oh my gosh.
The first couple episodes are truly wild.
Yeah. Well, if you care to, you can go back there. If you just want to talk to us in the future, you can find us on Twitter at the Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at the Good Evening Girls.
Or TikTok at the Good Eve Girls.
And if you're feeling extra wild, we have a new podcast. Okay, it's called Meet Me in Forks.
It's called 3 Girls, 1 Crossword. We added a 3rd host, and we did the exact same thing, but it's with 3 hosts.
And 2 crosswords.
Yeah.
So,
2 crosswords, 1 girl. It's actually a solo.
yeah, we are breaking apart.
Yeah.
What is it? I'm gonna go my own way. What about us? What about
everything we've been through? What about trust?
You know, I never wanted to hurt you. What about me? Come on over, folks. We're having a blast.
I will say it's really hard to sing over Zoom because it's like lagged, so it's hard to sing together. The other day we sang Happy Birthday to my niece and it sounded terrible over Zoom.
Yeah, it's rough. I hope that whoever's listening to this, it syncs in the actual audio, but I have no promises.
But really, if you do want to listen to our other podcast, we didn't mention it. It'll be linked in the description. Everything is linked. But it's called Meet Me in Forks, and we're going chapter by chapter through Midnight Sun, which is Stephanie Meyer's newest book, and it's terrible, and you should go listen to it. Because
we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you want to hear us
laughs,
basically shit talk about vampires and Mormonism.
Weird writing.
Yeah.
Mormonism. It's all there. It's all there. Okay. You got chastity, you got Mormonism, you got vampires. What else do you need, people? I mean, honestly, we're hitting them all. Boom, boom, boom. Come on over.
On that
but
note.
if that's not your thing, stick with us here. We love your support. Give us a like, give us a rate, a review, DM us, tweet at us, follow us on Instagram.
Send us some flowers. Whatever you want to do.
Grace is desperate for flowers, so.
I am.
Well, It's been real.
That's it.
See you next time, kids.
Bye.